Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope all my students are okay. If the answer is yes, that's pretty good. Alright, before we start today's session, I think it's appropriate to talk about what we did in the last session, that was session number 29. And I hope you remember that we tried to understand the differences between a phoneme and an allophone. Yes, linguistically now we are in the better position to understand what is a phoneme and what is an allophone. I hope now there is no mixture of phoneme with allophone so far as the separate identity is concerned. We now know that there is a variation of the sound within a phoneme, and this is what we call an allophone of that same phoneme. Sometimes what happens that the second language learner gets confused, little bit confused about this, that we are going to have a separate phoneme when we talk about the variation in the sounds, but it's not the case. And now I hope that all of you are in the better position to understand phoneme is a distinctive sound in any language, and since we are talking about English, we can say the phonemes of English, and if there is a variation, we say that this is the allophone of that particular phoneme. I tried my level best to present before you many examples and to try to understand the difference between phoneme and allophone, and of course the examples told us that these are the variations within a sound. So we have something else today to understand. So let's see what's the topic we have to talk about today. That is session number 30, in fact, alright. So wait for that. Dear students, this is session number 30 of our program, and almost we have passed the middle of the semester, and the things are getting technical. Of course, we have talked about certain suprasegmental features of certain phonemes, but in fact we were talking about suprasegmentals. But time and again we have to talk about phonemes, right? We have to understand phonemes to the maximum extent, because everything is dependent on the understanding of phonemes, of course, the sounds of English. So I hope that you're ready for that, and if not, so let's see that what is in our session number 30. So welcome to session number 30. Well, today's topic of discussion or analysis is description of vowels. Today we have to describe our vowel sounds in detail. Definitely you will come across some charts at the same time. You will have certain examples, but I want you to practice when you are required to practice, and when you are required to say the things after me. So it's very important that there are certain technical things we have to talk about today, so get ready for that. Alright? Well, before we talk anything else, I think it's very appropriate to understand the alphabet of English. All of you know how many alphabets are in English. And yes, of course, the answer is 26 letters are available. This is what we call alphabet of English. This is what we came across when we were little children, and we first picked up English language as a subject to understand, and the first thing we came across was the English letters. 26 letters. And when we divide 26 letters, we have two categories. One we call consonant, the others we call vowels. I hope you remember, and this is what we all the time tell the students, little children, that there are 21 consonants and there are 5 vowels in English. Now what are the vowels? That's very important to understand. What I'm saying, it's very much written in front of you. The statement says that we all know that written English has 26 letter alphabet. Of these 26 letters, 21 are proper consonants and 5 are proper vowels. Right? I had a talk about one typical letter, that is Y, because some of the linguists believe that the letter Y can be considered either a consonant or a vowel. but depending upon its usage. But I want you to understand that, alright, take Y as a consonant. Take Y as a consonant, alright? This is very important to understand, because this is the time where we don't have to get confused, we don't have to get ourselves confused. Rest assured that we have got 21 consonants. Sometimes, if this kind of statements the students read, they start putting questions, why. Alright, same Y is there. So it's very important, my dear students, that you must remember there are 21 consonants and 5 vowel letters. This time I'm talking about English alphabet. This time I'm talking about English letters. I'm not referring to English phonemes. Deliberately, I asked you, I hope you remember when I asked you that you don't have to think about English letter when you are going to talk about phonemes. Now this time I'm talking about the English letters, right? And why I have brought this particular slide for you, because I want you to understand the difference between what are the sounds and what are the letters. For example, there are 5 vowels written over here. The third statement that says there are 5 proper vowels, and this is what you know since your childhood, and these are A, E, I, O and U. It is also written here that these 5 vowels come from the Latin word voice, right? 5 vowels. But very strangely, these 5 vowels do not work when we talk about phonology. Since today we are going to describe the vowels. Now when I say vowels, that means I am going to describe the English vowel sounds. I'm not going to describe English vowel letters. So you must bear in mind that this slide is only to make you understand that we have got 26 letters in English, what we call alphabet, after which we have 21 consonants and 5 vowels. Now, since we are talking about the description of vowel sounds, we are not talking about the description of vowels, which are letters. Just imagine that we have got only 5 letters in English, but we have 20 vowel sounds in English language. Just imagine about that. So that's why I'm saying, for your understanding's sake, you have to keep in mind that there are 5 vowel letters in English. There are 5 vowels letters in English, but we have got 20 vowel sounds. That's very important to understand, okay? But there are 2 categories. The first one is consonants, the second one is vowels. This is what you must remember, alright? And then we have got 21 consonant letters, whereas we have got 24 consonant sounds in English. We have only 5 letters in English which are called vowels, but we have 20 vowel sounds in English. Okay? I want you to recall one thing which I uttered, which I discussed in the previous sessions. And I still remember during session number 1, I had a talk with you when I said that if there is a question by someone, what is the difference between a consonant and a vowel, what could be the simplest answer? Do you remember? Can you recall? Try to recall that answer. Alright, you're right. That the difference, the basic difference between a consonant sound and a vowel sound, or between a consonant or a vowel, is that when we produce a consonant, the airstream is obstructed in between our lungs and mouth. But when we produce a vowel, the airstream is not obstructed. This is what the statement says over here, that vowels are created by the free passage of breath through the larynx and mouth. This is the technical answer. And I was giving you simple answer. This is the technical answer, and the answer is that vowels are created by the free passage of breath through the larynx and mouth. Alright? So when the mouth is obstructed during speech production, most often by the tongue or teeth, the resulting sound is a consonant. This is what I was trying to tell you in generally speaking, that what is the difference between consonant and vowel. This is what I was commenting on. That when you produce a consonant, the airstream is blocked or obstructed somewhere in between the lungs and the mouth. And definitely tongue or teeth, most probably, because these are the spots where we find. But we have already talked about in detail. We had discussions on this. We tried to analyze each and every consonant sound in the previous sessions, that what are the speech organs that play their role in the obstruction of airstream. But here, for understanding's sake, it's very important to understand that the big difference in between a vowel and a consonant production is when vowels are produced, so they are produced without any obstruction. There is no obstruction of the breath. There is no obstruction of the airstream. But when we produce a consonant, what happens? There is some sort of obstruction during the speech production. So that's very important yardstick to understand when we are going to talk about the difference between a consonant production and a vowel production. Is it clear? I hope you remember we classified each and every consonant. We classified. I presented before you different types of tables, out of which 2 tables are very important to remember. And I told you in the middle of the semester, not in the middle of the semester, before that rather, when I was analyzing the consonant sounds of English, and when I was trying to classify each and every consonant sound. Afterwards, I still remember I had a talk with you when we were trying to understand the features of each and every phoneme. I hope you remember that some consonants are bilabial, some are labiodental, some are dental, likewise some are alveolar, some are platoalveolar, some are velar, some are glottal, something like that. Because we tried to understand what was the position of the articulators, what were the articulators involved, or what are the articulators involved when we produce a consonant, what is the structure involvement. So keeping in view these 2 things, factors, we try to classify each and every consonant. But so far as vowels are concerned, remember there are certain parameters. The parameters are different. Now you must understand, when I was analyzing the previous slide, I said there is some sort of obstruction of airstream, or for airstream there is obstruction. The airstream is blocked maybe for a second or so when we produce a consonant in between our lungs and mouth. Now we are in the position to understand, alright, sometimes velum is playing the part to obstruct. Sometimes lips are playing the part. Sometimes tongue is playing the part. Okay? But at the same time I said that there is no obstruction when we produce vowel sounds. Because now we have different kind of things to understand. And these are the parameters which are applied, which are to be considered when we are producing a vowel sound. Now these are the parameters you can see. This is what our mouth is in fact. What's the height? I'm talking about the mouth, of course the lips. What makes a vowel front? The frontness and the rounding. Definitely that is the rounding of lips. So these are the parameters, remember, you must always keep in mind when you are going to talk about or when you are going to describe the vowel sounds of English. So it is either height or the frontness or the rounding. So these are the 3 things you have to remember. In the coming slide I shall be just talking about them more. I shall be analyzing them, that what are the sounds which fall in what category. Alright? But these are the parameters you must remember always. Now I would like to elaborate these parameters, and these are known as 5 vowel parameters. I want you to read the statement first of all. It says, whatever variety of English is spoken, vowels may be differentiated by differences in 5 main parameters. Okay, that's very important to understand. Whatever variety of English. Whatever variety of English. But this time we are not talking about the variety of English or varieties of English language which is spoken all around the world. We are focusing on the model of English, whatever the model is available. So remember, these 5 main parameters are always considered, because we are talking about sounds. What sounds? Vowel sounds. Vowels are what language? Of course, vowels in English language. Since we are very much in the middle of understanding phonology of English. Alright? So there are 5 parameters you must remember. And these are, number 1, openness of the mouth, tongue elevation, position of tongue elevation, lip shape, length of vocalization. I repeat, whatever English you are speaking, that makes no difference at all. But remember, the differences are always 5 because of these parameters. And what are these parameters? The first one is openness of mouth. The second is tongue elevation. The third is position of tongue elevation. Fourth is lip shape. And the fifth is length of vocalization. I shall be elaborating them more and more in the coming slides. Okay? But before we talk anything else, remember, we have to talk about 4 plus 1. 4 plus 1. We have talked about 5 main parameters when we are going to talk about English vowel sounds. Remember, the first 4 of these alter the relative size and shape of the oral cavity. The oral cavity. I had detailed analysis of 2 cavities. One is the nasal cavity, the other one is the oral cavity. Absolutely right. So there are 2 cavities which help us in the production of speech sounds. So far as the nasal cavity is concerned, we know that there are 3 nasal sounds in English: m, n, and ing. Absolutely right. So there are 3 nasal sounds where we find the role of nasal cavity. But when we talk about the rest of the speech sounds, so this is the oral activity, in fact, that is all the time helping us in the production of speech sounds, whether they are consonant sounds or maybe vowel sounds. Now, we're talking about 5 parameters, and over here I'm saying the first 4 of these alter the relative size and shape of the oral cavity. That means something is happening inside our mouth because size and shape of the oral cavity. But the final one, the 5th parameter, the length of vocalization, that influences the duration of production. Production of what? Production of vowel sound. Absolutely right. So always remember, the first 4 always talk about, they tell us the relative size and shape of the oral cavity. When we are producing a vowel, what is the shape and size of the oral cavity during the production of that particular vowel sound. But the 5th one, in fact, talks about the duration of the production. Are you getting my point? For example, let's say something of long vowel sound. E. Try to understand the duration of production. E. At the same time, we have got I. There is, of course, can you see that these are front vowel sounds? Isn't it? Front S is there. But close to E is also falling. So it depends upon the duration of production of one particular sound, whatever the sound is. Is it clear? Now look at this slide very closely. That tells us something about the openness of the mouth. Openness of the mouth. Openness of the mouth. You've got two broad areas, left and right. On left side you've got one title, one heading, that is the openness of mouth. On right side, explanation is there. So explanation of what? Of the openness of mouth. Now look, we have close, mouth is close. That doesn't mean absolutely close, not at all. We're talking about the openness of mouth. Close, close mid, open mid and open. For example, if you produce a sound vowel that is oh, lot, so the position is different. When you say the sound o, it is different. And when you say the sound oo, the position is different. Or you say the sound oo, the position is different. Explanation is mouth relatively closed. Right? Close and close mid. That means mouth relatively closed. In the middle, what you see? Mouth half closed or half open. That is in between the two extremes. The first one on the top is mouth relatively closed, and at the bottom we have mouth relatively open. And in between, what happens? Mouth half closed or half open. What we are talking about? We are talking about the openness of the mouth. And we have got two headings over here. Openness of mouth. So there are four categories here. Close, close mid, open mid and open. And the three areas then explain them. On the top we have mouth relatively closed. And at the bottom we have mouth relatively open. And in the middle, what happens? Mouth half closed, half open. Half closed, half open. Is it clear? Now, let's understand tongue elevation. Tongue elevation, this is what I talked about, the 5 parameters. Tongue elevation. Tongue is either high or middle or low. What we are talking about? We are talking about tongue elevation, and the 3 categories are there. Either it's high, it's mid, it's low. Now this time we have got 3 headings. The first one is tongue elevation. This is what we are understanding. The second is what is the position of mouth. In fact, I am talking about the openness of mouth. Openness of mouth is here. And the third, explanation. The explanation of what? The elevation of tongue. First is tongue high, tongue mid or tongue low. And then we have got the openness of mouth. With regard to tongue elevation, it could be close, it could be close mid, it could be open mid, it could be open. Tongue elevation, high, mid and low. Openness of mouth, it could be close mid, it could be open mid and it could be open. And same is the case in the explanation. Tongue high, mouth relatively closed, low, mouth relatively open. In between, mouth half closed or half open. Are you getting my point? Now you must remember this chart. It's very important because in the coming slides we are going to apply the same charts. This chart, the previous one or the coming ones, whatever they are. we shall be applying on the understanding and or the description of vowel sounds. Is it clear? Now, one of the parameters to understand the production of vowels or the description of vowels is lip shape. Lip shape. What is the shape of our lips? It is round or it is unround. Now, remember, the difference can be illustrated by alternating between saying the vowel sound oo, as in the word goose, and e, as in the word fleece. These are only two words as an example, but I want you to use certain other words having two sounds. One is oo, the other one is e. Remember, both these sounds are long vowel sounds. Okay? We are talking about lip shape. Try to first of all say the sound oo. Soup, rule, fool, tool, whatever the sound, whatever the word, as many words you can use, you can say now. And then e, beat, treat, seat, meat. So all these words carry this particular sound, that is e, long vowel sound. So same is the case with oo. Okay? Now, there is another important difference among the vowels of English, remember. When you say oo, your lips are rounded. Say the sound oo, oo. You can do this while standing in front of the mirror. Stand there, say the sound oo, and try to look at your lips. What is the shape of your lips? Yes, absolutely right that they are rounded. Oo. I am speaking. I am using this sound. I'm producing this sound, and the shape of my lips is rounded. But what happens when you say the sound e? Your lips are not rounded, rather spread. Alright? Now, this is the instance, for example, two sounds are there, both are long vowel sounds. Oo and e. Vibration. Can you understand? Can you feel the vibration when I'm speaking, when I'm producing these sounds? Oo, e. And I hope you remember I told you all vowel sounds are voiced sound. Absolutely right. All vowel sounds are voiced sound. This is what we understand. Alright? But here we are talking about the lip shape. What is the shape of our lips when we produce sounds? Now look at the two sounds. One is oo, the other one is e. When we produce oo sound, we can see even in the mirror. I told you that you have to stand in front of the mirror to practice this sound. You will find that your lips are rounded. But when we produce e, you can see that our lips are spread. Okay, that's a big difference. This is what we call the lip shape. It's one of the parameters. Okay. So my dear students, always remember that vowels can be categorized according to whether they are rounded or unrounded. If there is a question, what do you think about this vowel? Is it rounded or unrounded? For example, if I ask you, what do you think about oo vowel sound? You must know whether it is a front vowel sound, central vowel sound, or back vowel sound, number one. Two, you must know whether it is rounded or unrounded. As I discussed, that it is rounded, oo. try to look at your lips by standing in front of the mirror and produce this sound. When you produce this sound, what happens? Alright, yes, exactly. Lip shape rounded. And if you want to compare this sound with E, which is also long vowel sound, it is not rounded. You can see your lips spread. So vowels can be categorized according to whether they are rounded or unrounded. Remember, in English, the mid and high back vowels are rounded. The front and central vowels are unrounded. So this is the principle you must remember in English language, since we are talking about phonology of English, that in English language the mid and high back vowels are rounded. The mid and high back vowels are rounded. The mid and high back vowels are rounded, whereas the front and central vowels are unrounded. For example, the central is about, against, father, mother, sister, particular, Is it rounded? No, it's not rounded. So you must remember this rule, that in English language the mid and high back vowels are rounded, whereas the front and central vowels are unrounded. Is it clear? Now let's talk about the fifth parameter. We talked about the first four parameters, but the fifth one is in front of you now. And that is length of vocalization. Length of production of the sound. This is what I said. We have to find which vowel sound is long vowel sound and which one is short vowel. So when we talk about length of vocalization, what does this mean? It means the length of the production of one particular vowel sound. As you already know that we have got 12 pure vowel sounds in English, after which 5 are long vowel sounds, whereas 7 are short vowel sounds. This is what you already know. Always remember, in the English language each vowel can be pronounced many ways, but the most two common variations are either long or short. Always remember that in English language each vowel can be pronounced many ways, but the two most common variations are long and short. This is very important to understand. Long vowel sounds and short vowel sounds. I mean, in common language, let me tell you, for example, how to understand. I'm not talking about the sounds of these vowels. You can see in front of you there are 5 long vowel sounds, and against each symbol there are colons. Can you see the colon? I mean, simply I'm saying. I should not be saying, but this is what the sign of one particular vowel sound is. But I'm saying, for your understanding's sake, there are colon you can see. 5 long vowel sounds. They should not be pronounced, they should not be spoken the way the short long vowel sound is spoken or produced. For example, E, A, O, U. How many are they? 5. E as in seat, beat, meet. The second one is park, dark, lark. The third one is O, talk, walk. The fourth one is turn, burn, learn, first, third, burn. What is the sound? The last one is oo, tool, boot. So these are 5 long vowel sounds. What I was talking about? I was talking about length of vocalization. That is the 5th parameter. So how many parameters we have? Yes, 5 parameters we have. When we are going to describe vowel sounds of English, remember, we have to describe them by keeping in view these 5 parameters. And one of them is this length of vocalization. What does vocalization mean? That either it is a long vowel sound or it is a short vowel sound. And we have 12 pure vowel sounds, out of which we have got 7 short vowel sounds and we have got 5 long vowel sounds. Is it clear? Now I want you to concentrate on short English vowels. Short vowel sounds of English. In the previous slide we tried to understand what are the long vowel sounds, length of vocalization. We are talking about the 5th parameter, right? That is the length of the production of one particular sound, whatever it is. It could be a long vowel sound, it could be a short long vowel sound. But we have talked about long vowel sound. This time we have to understand what are short vowel sound. Short vowel sound, the second category. The first one is the long vowel sound, the second is the short vowel sound. Let's try to understand some of them. A, as in apple. Pan, mat, hat, as in elephant. Pen, met, get. For your convenience, what I have done is that I have underlined the place where you can have this sound, right? A, and then you can see where the sound is present. Similarly, you can see the underlined place. This is the spot you can see the sound. I mean, you can hear the sound. The third one is I, as in insect. Pin, mit, sit. The next one is aw, as in octopus, ostrich, a pawn, motto. The next one is ah, as in mud, pun, but. So you have got 6 in front of you. You must be thinking, where is the 7th one? In fact, I want you to tell me which one is the 7th one. That is the short vowel sound. And I still remember I also told you about its special name. It's the central vowel sound. Yes, it is also used in weak form. We'll be talking about weak form. Yes, guess it. Absolutely right. That is about, against, particular, father, mother, sister. Right? So these are 6. And the 7th one, I wanted you to write on that. Write down the sign of that particular sound. And then produce its sound, use it in the words, and then again say the words so that you may be able to understand the sound. So we are having 7 short vowel sounds, 5 long vowel sounds, and these are 6. Of course, the 7th one is a. The first one is a, I, oh, ah, and the 7th one is a, that is schwa, schwa. Do you remember? Can you recall it now? Can you write its sign? Can you produce the sound? So I want you to practice a lot. That's very important sound, because in the coming days when you shall be engaged in transcription, phonetic transcription, you need that sound. You need that sound time and again. Alright? Now let's use the long vowel sounds in certain keywords. Alright? Let's use all long vowel sounds in certain keywords. You have already talked about what are the long vowel sounds, I told you, but this time they're in front of you and together with the keywords, you know. I've tried my level best to underline the place where you can have that sound. Let's talk about them. The first one is E, as in seat, treat, meet, feel. The next is A, father, rather, park, dark. The third one is O, talk, walk, whole, tall. Please don't pronounce these words as hal and tal. They are pronounced as whole and tall. The long vowel sound O is used in them. The next one is turn, burn, first, thirst. I repeat, turn, burn, first, thirst. The final is oo, oo, as in rule, tool, fool, pool. Now the best practice you can do is that you can write down the symbols of each and every sound, bring some keywords, underline the spot, underline the place where you can hear this sound, and then speak and then pronounce those words. Better if you record your voice. If you record your voice, what happens? You ultimately become a judge, and you ultimately give feedback to yourself. If you are not pronouncing exactly, delete it, record it again. So we've talked about short vowel sounds. This time we have tried to use all long vowel sounds in certain keywords, and for your convenience I've tried to underline the place where you can have these sounds. Now these are E, A, O, U. Alright? Now this is the entire of our discussion. When we chart vowels or charting the vowels, this is what we are left with. This is what is the position of tongue elevation. Can you see the tongue elevation? 3 very important vowel sounds. I mean, they are leading in fact. E, close to middle is I. Of course, in the middle we have got that is the central vowel sound. In the back, what we have, since we are talking about the position of tongue elevation, alright? We are talking about position of tongue elevation. We have oo, and then the bottom we have got ah. So you can see the tongue elevation on the left side, high, mid-low and low. When we say ah, tongue is low. But when we see, when we produce a sound e, it is high. Alright? So that is called the charting of vowel sounds. The entire position of our tongue elevation is in front of us. Whatever we have discussed so far, in fact, that is based on this chart. Yes, in the connected speech, we don't have the time to analyze that whether the speaker is using this kind of tongue elevation or not, but we know that. We know, once we understand the concept, when we know that, okay, this sound is produced through this way, then it's okay. Because we understand the concepts which are ruling phonology of English. And this time we know, because we have tried to describe the vowels in detail. So that is what we have to think about, that the sounds are produced inside. Now, whatever we started with, in fact, in the beginning, now we are in the position to say, all right, we were right. Because we try to understand, first of all, the five parameters when we try to describe the vowel sounds of English. Okay? So we apply all these five parameters to the understanding of vowel sounds of English. Then it is possible that we are able to describe them completely. Alright? Good. Now, if you ask me to summarize the discussion of today's session, I would say that, okay, what is description of vowels? So I shall be reading this line for you in the light of the discussion, in the light of the analysis we have had during this session number 30, that from the point of view of the quality, vowel sounds of two types. We have got two types basically, and you can see the third type is very much in front of you, but that has been given a different color. I'm not talking about this type of vowels at the moment. I'm talking about two types. I'm talking about monophthong, the pure vowels, the single vowel sounds, and I'm talking about diphthong. And definitely I'm also presenting before you triphthongs. During today's discussion, I am not touching the diphthongs. I'm simply talking about the monophthong, what you call the pure vowel sounds of English, which are 12 in fact. And after 12 we have got 7 short vowel sounds, and we have got 5 long vowel sounds. But this time I'm not talking about the diphthongs of English language. We have to talk about them separately. Definitely we shall be describing them in detail. That's very important, right? But this time we have got two types. One is the monophthong, of course, the single sounds, and diphthongs. You know, diphthong means that two sounds of English vowels are together, and they are the glides, in fact, such as a, I. Alright? So, this is what we talked about so far as the description of vowel sounds is concerned. Okay? So, the end of the session, all sessions, whatever the sessions are, have been, or shall be, remember, they end with this particular slide, and that is self-assessment. I've been telling you this is the most important part of each and every session. Today I shall read the line first, then I shall be telling you that how you have to pick up this particular line. I'm saying describe all vowels of English and then record them in your own voice. I want you, in fact, to describe the way I have tried to describe them for you. I tried to present before you certain charts, but before that I also talked about the parameters. I talked about the 5 parameters when you're going to describe vowel sounds of English. All the parameters, 5 parameters, 4 plus 1. This is what I use the term 4 plus 1. And the fifth one was what? The vocalization, the length of the production of vowel sounds. Is it clear? At the same time, we were engaged to understand the elevation of our tongue. What is the position of our tongue when we are producing vowel sounds of English? This is what everyone knows. I think all the students are clear about this, that we have got 20 total vowel sounds, and out of which we have got 12 pure vowels of English. And when we try to subcategorize these sounds, we have got 7 short vowel sounds and 5 long vowel sounds. The best way is to please write down the symbol of the sound, produce it, and then write down a keyword. The best thing again is that you can transcribe now. You should have started transcribing general English words in phonetics. That's very important exercise, because in the coming days you have to do this. I want you to start now. So today what you need to do is that you have to describe all the vowel sounds of English, but the most important part of this statement is that you have to record them in your own voice. You can pick up all the vowel sounds of English together with some keywords, some new keywords, alright, and then record them. You can WhatsApp me, no problem at all. So thank you very much for this session. From my side, goodbye and good luck. Stay blessed.